What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Banish for Cost podcast. I am your host, E-HeroesForged, and today I want to kind of talk on ratios for hero players. And I want to kind of dive into it because I think it's a common, not issue, problem, solution, I don't know. Like, it seems like no one has decided what heroes should, base their counts on. So, for instance, Stratos, for example. I'm on the side where I think Stratos should be at 2. You have players think it should be at 1 and 3. I would say more people lean towards 2, but just using it as an example. So moving forward, obviously the state of heroes right now is it's below the rogue tier. You're not going to go into an OTS regional, YCS, anything and win anything. You're going to see, a small representation, but you're more going to be on the local level and kind of playing for fun. So I think right now that's kind of where heroes are. But once we get the new support coming out next year, I do think we are going to be more meta relevant, but I don't see us being top tier. I think I've seen people use tier 1 status, and I don't feel that, because the deck still has the same problems. Does it make the deck a lot more consistent and kind of give us more avenues? Yeah, I definitely know that. I mean, I've kind of pushed that in my other videos, and I don't think that's necessarily kind of the look I'm kind of thinking of. The deck still dies to Droll. We still don't have an Omni Negate to kind of get around that. So, not to get too far off topic with that, but it's still ratios. Are we gonna try to push the deck to make it 40? Or are we gonna do 45, 50, 60, whatever? Personally, I've never been a player who likes 60 cards, and I find it that it's just too bulky, and it's just too much to keep up with. What are you gonna side? It's a whole lot of things that kind of factor into it, but I think that's for every deck count. So I've decided to try the 60 card count, and that's just for in today's meta. And I do feel that 60 is the new 40. The more engine you see, the more likely you're not going to see the bricks. But for heroes, that's on a whole new spectrum of its own. Heroes, they live and die by their own engine. Droll and Nib are a thing, but heroes require you to play so many bricks. So I was watching the Fitfather Yugioh, and he was kind of talking about a video he was watching and kind of used it in his own way, and was talking about the percentages of seeing starters, using a system like that. And I 100% agree with that kind of logic, because most of the time, obviously everyone wants to see a starter no matter what deck you're playing. But for heroes, that's extremely hard. So it is kind of difficult to kind of play in the percentage factor in that. So you kind of want to cut down on cards that are a brick after you need to see them. So for a hero lives, every hero deck plays a hero lives at 3. And let's say you draw here 2 of them in your start hand. So awesome, I have a hero lives in my hand. Oh, I have a second one. You now have a brick. The one card that's one of your best starters is a brick. So kind of what I'm getting at is, do hero players revert back, and do they try to just play a hero lives at 1, Fusion Destiny at 1, and kind of make your fusion spell? Because when Furnace gets here and when Fountain gets here, you're going to be able to have more ways to search Poly, and you're going to have more ways to set and search Mass Change. So I think those can be put at 2, because you're going to have more ways to get them and recycle them. You can still do that when they're at 1, but those would be kind of better if you see them in your opening hand, because then that just cuts out one of your searches. So I do feel that heroes may need to lean that way, and maybe kind of look at thrust. I've been a big push for heroes to kind of put thrust in the main deck, because as soon as they use Droll, if they don't control a monster, yeah, it kind of sucks. But at the same time, if you lose a dice roll, thrust is an excellent card going second. And if you need to set your favorite contact, if you need to set a poly or something like that, add it to your hand, things like that. I think thrust kind of searches most of what we've got going on, and move towards cards that are going to propel the deck, or maybe even add more engine. And because you're going to have to find more ways to cut these bricks down, because Mally is still a brick. Denier is still a brick. If you draw two polys, it's still a brick. Like, yeah, you want to see it, but you want to search it. If you draw mass change, that's technically a brick. Like, we have all these different bricks. So it's like, how do you eliminate ways to see these things? So yeah, a hero lives at 1, Fusion Destiny at 1. We've, obviously Rhoda's at 1 for all purposes, but like, what I'm trying to get at is limit these cards, kind of put it on a leash or something, because like, even like Evil Assault, I think Evil Assault is a brick. Like, if you draw 2 of them, you have a wasted card. You got to discard anyway, but the card you want to discard is like Mally or Shadow Mist. And I strongly feel that's the route maybe heroes need to go, is to maybe cut down on some of these power spells and then maybe substitute that for more engine. Or you can go more non-engine and you can put like Pot of Prosperity, because you're not going to use every card in the extra deck. It's a very tight extra deck, but I do feel that if you did like Pot of Prosperity, you could dig into your deck a little more, see more engine, because like if I activate a Hero Lives and like they get rid of it, and then you use Pot of Prosperity, and then you flip over 2 more Hero Lives, like that doesn't really do anything for you. So I personally think that the ratios need to be cut down. And I mean, just to test it, I could 100% be wrong, because if you move towards a 60 card build, you're not going to want to put 1 Hero Live. So obviously, I'm just talking for these smaller deck counts, between 40 and let's say 50. 50 might be stretching it, but between 40 and 50. Some of these power spells get cut down, and then you can add more hand traps, or if you want to go second, put the board breakers. I think heroes specifically, like other decks can get away with stuff like that. Like Branded, for instance, like they have a starter everywhere you look. They're not one-dimensional, kind of like heroes are. So if you kind of cut out some of these, one-dimensional combos that rely on searching, because at the end of the day, we're trying to beat Droll. And at the moment, you can't get around it, because eventually you have to search something. But what you want to do is put your deck in the best position to where you're not exposed to that. So it was a great video to watch, and I think the Fit Father over there, him and the guy he watches, Jesse, I think was his name, and I think they got something pretty good going on over there. I've never personally tried it, so I think I might reach out and ask more questions about that, because like when I do deck building, all I'm thinking about is what do I want to see in my hand, but what do I not want to see more than one of, and I think every card in Heroes you kind of don't want to see 2 of. So, it's a kind of a big balance. I don't know. So, it's going to take a lot of play testing. You're going to see what's going to happen. Like, there's tons of videos on YouTube about, like what heroes are going to be playing, what it's going to look like. But at the end of the day, you don't know what the meta is going to be like when these cards come out. You do not. I mean, in my eyes, I think Branded, when the new Heroes Report gets here, is going to be probably the best deck. And I would say it's going to be hard to compete with decks like that unless you go first, because it's no surprise, Branded can fuse out of the Banish zone, fuse from the deck, whatever, it doesn't matter. They don't really need the graveyard. So, Dark Law, for all intents and purposes, like, it's not going to be the best option. And then do you put in Plasma and you put another brick in your deck? So now, having contrast on the field is going to be great, because that's going to be able to give us some negate, so they can't just do Albaz and Fusion off your stuff. So that alone is going to be great. So, it's going to be a great matchup for us, and I think it's going to be definitely a hard road ahead. But at the end of the day, I definitely think hero players need to expand a little bit, because we've been doing the same thing for years, and basically all this new support is just putting more cards in the deck. So what used to be 40, now we do 45, now we're at 50, and then, 60 is the new 40. So I do want to know what everyone thinks about that, like as far as like ratios for these cards, because me personally, I think all of the new Mass Hero monsters are going to be 1-ofs. The only one that might be 2 of is maybe Furnace, but, if you draw 2 of him, he's kind of a brick, even though you can discard him off his effect. Like, I don't think he's going to need to be a 2 of, because I think Vion and Stratos are going to be the big hitters as far as your normal summons. So, those are going to be what you really want to see in the deck. So I don't think, having multiples of the Masked Heroes is going to be where we go. And the next thing is, do you cut the evil hero package? Are we sold on that? Are we just gonna just dump the evil hero package and try to move forward with elemental, destiny, and masked? So that's the big thing. I personally think too, you don't cut the vision package as far as not Vion, Ferris and Increase. I think you still keep those. I think you do 1-1 with them, but you also gotta maybe look at other options as far as putting in other engines. I saw an interesting build the other day about heroes and Fiendsmith. That's still a good thing. Obviously, you keep probably the evil heroes in there, but that's just different realms, because like a Dusted Gold is a 1-card Fiendsmith combo, so you can obviously go that route. So I don't see a horrible reason to go that way, but what kind of restricts you from that is that even though the masked heroes are excellent, like they do lock you into heroes out the extra deck. So I don't 100% have an idea of how this deck is going to get built, but we have so many avenues on what we're going to be able to do. So I'm going to personally keep it pure, but I am not, oblivious to these other builds where you can just put other engines in there. I've tried to do it myself. I haven't loved anything I put in there. So I do think pure heroes is the way to go. So, and I think heroes can use sub engines within the hero archetype to supplement all these other lines. So, without thinking of like Miracle Ejector, because like obviously all the lists that I'm currently seeing, they're all doing it with Miracle Ejector. It's like, well, we're not going to get that with the masked hero, so you can't really look at that yet. You can practice it and look at it a little bit and kind of think of what you want to do, but masked heroes are coming first. And I think that's what you need to practice for first. And then you kind of go on and add on to that. But that's just me. That's my personal opinion. I could obviously be wrong. That's fine. Not everybody's going to agree with that. So outside of that, I am very excited for these cards, and I obviously have proxies of them. I've been working with them, so I'm starting to get a lot more familiarity with it. And man, like it just feels like every hand I draw, like there's some form of starter. But every deck bricks, but they don't brick like heroes do, man. Like heroes have their own way of just saying, no, you cannot play. The real question we kind of have to look at is, when we kind of use these supplement engines, we still need, it all comes back to ratios. Are we still going to go 3 Stratos, 2 Vion, obviously 3 Mali, Denier, things like that, So I think with the monster count, it's pretty locked in. I don't really see that changing too much. It's the spells, the power spells, and non-engine. So I guess it depends on what your deck count is, and kind of what you want to see your deck do as far as going first or second. So it's going to be a real challenge, and I think every hero player's perspective is a little different. And regardless if you agree with going first or second, I think you have a way you want to play the deck. And I'm of the belief that heroes have enough gas to really break a board, but I think we struggle into made boards. And because if they've got 5-6 negates, heroes aren't 1-card combos anymore, and I don't think we can really go that route. So like even if you draw a droplet, like that's still tough. And I don't think going second is the best route for us. I do think going first is the way to go. So it just depends on how you want to play the hand traps. I like Fualos is a great hand trap. It's probably the best Charmy for the format, but like if I choose to go first, and I draw 2 Charmies in my opening hand, that like you're already hurting yourself. So I kind of feel like we need to go the way like how Luna Light plays their deck. Luna Light is all gas, and they have certain hand traps that they play that can kind of match up with what's going on, but they can play like Impulse and things like that. We can't do that. Like Forbidden Droplet is our Impulse in a way, because we can just negate the field. So yeah, I am almost on the fence of cutting Fualos, but man, you can't play to thinking you're going to win every dice roll, because you're not. It doesn't work out that way. So it's tough. It's truly tough. Deck building is one of the most frustrating and fun things I really enjoy about this game, and trying to figure out ratios is number one. And you know, I kind of want to hear what everyone's opinion is on it. So if you have opinions about like how the new Master Heroes are going to come out and how you're going to run it, definitely let me know down in the comment section below. I want to know what y'all's builds are too. Like, are hero players right now running between 40 and 50, 45 and 55? You know, like, where are we? You know, because right now I'm between 42 and like 46 because I just don't like higher deck counts. If I'm going to play a high deck count, I'm playing 60. So that's kind of where I am. So I definitely want to know where you guys are as well. So, but that's all I got for you today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Heroes Best Deck.